Bingo Blitz rules.
If your bingo has ads in it,
That's not a bingo.
if it doesn't have the coolest tournaments, mini games, and the most breathtaking design,
Nope, not a bingo.
if your bingo moment makes you feel so excited that you just want to burst in joy and scream out loud, bingo! Sorry, so you're playing...
Bingo Blitz? Now that's a bingo. Discover a world of excitement with Bingo Blitz, the #1 free bingo game. Download Bingo Blitz and play for free.
Now that's a bingo.
Hi, this is Rob Benedict.
And I am Richard Spate. We were both on a little show you might know called Supernatural.
It had a pretty good run, 15 seasons, 327 episodes.
And though we have seen, of course, every episode many times, we figured, hey, now that we're wrapped, let's watch it all again.
And we can't do that alone, so we're inviting the cast and crew that made the show along for the ride. We've got writers, producers, composers, directors, and we'll of course have some actors on as well, including some certain guys that played some certain pretty iconic brothers.
It was kind of a little bit of a left field choice in the best way possible.
The note from Kripke was, he's great, we love him, but we're looking for like a really intelligent Duchovny type.
With 15 seasons to explore, it's going to be the road trip of several lifetimes. So please join us and subscribe to Supernatural Then and Now.
Ready to give terrible advice.
Welcome to an episode of Don't Blame Me. This is a call-in advice show where y'all call in and give advice. And you're probably wondering, what makes us so qualified to give this advice?
You did say they're calling in and giving advice.
Yeah. What makes us so qualified?
I have to say it's your beautiful accent.
Thank you.
I don't like this
Why don't you like it?
because it's creepy and you told me I'm not allowed to do mine because it's bad.
Yeah, because I am from the South.
I just want to. You're like from the South with a deviated septum and like Valley girl voice. Like there's layers to this character.
Oh, I know.
It's
I'm exactly doing what you're saying because what I'm doing is I'm emulating the Beverly Hillbillies, and they were Southern and moved to Beverly Hills is the place you got to be.
Especially if you got deviated septum, they'll fix that real fucking quick.
Yeah, they struck oil. Do you know about Beverly Hillbillies? The Beverly Hillbillies.
Is that different than the Beverly Hills Troop? With
Very
that
different.
lady with the. I think I saw that one time.
Not the same at all.
Not the same.
No, Beverly Hillbillies was a sitcom. Came on. They then remade it into a movie like later, like a reboot. But it was a sitcom that came on like the 70s, 60s maybe, about a family, hillbillies from the deep South that struck oil on their land. And then they moved to Beverly Hills, that is. The Beverly Hillbillies. That was part of the theme song.
Did they was it filmed in LA?
Yeah.
So did they do LA things or they were just like this where rich
it was
people go?
about hillbillies who suddenly came into a lot of money.
Yeah.
And so it was about them trying to assimilate to Beverly Hills.
See, I would like that now. I don't want to see what I don't care what you were doing in LA back in the day, but I want to see you take your friends on the PCH and go, Cher lives there.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe. We're pretty sure. Everybody says she does.
No, I know for a fact she did because she was friends with those people that I did an internship with.
So then we can now confidently say Cher lives there.
She put that house for sale. So
Cher doesn't live there anymore, but Cher...
She lives there, but for a few more until the house sells.
Okay, so if you're going now, and then you can also do... You should have seen what the Century City Mall looks like before the renovation. Mm-hmm. And here is the Beverly Center, which has the longest renovation in the entire world. And then we'll go here. And here's the gas station that is so stupidly expensive. Nobody goes here and there's a bit.
With people on the internet.
Yes. Here's Pink's Hot Dogs, which for some reason has a line down the street and nobody I've ever met has ever eaten there. And it's actually horrible.
I've eaten there and it was disgusting.
It's awful. Here's Pink Taco.
The
same way.
The hot dog kind of it's meaty in a way that it shouldn't be meaty.
Gamey. It's a gamey hot dog.
It's not even gamey. It's it was like the hot dogs are overcooked.
Oh no. So there's a bite.
So there's just they're flapping in the wind. And so when you bite into it, it just kind of folds over itself.
No, you need to use your canines to tear it up. I can't stand that. I can't stand that. Like, that's what I want. Like, I want like the real fake LA, like that kind of thing where it's just like, oh, this is how this goes. Like, how do I figure this place out? This is great. You go to the Trader Joe's and you have to get like your parking validated, and then they're like, sorry, you didn't get validated. You can't leave your car here. And then it's like, actually, it's $100 for you to leave this parking lot. Like, just like the quirky things about living in a small town.
I had an epiphany yesterday.
Okay.
And I blame TikTok for this.
I live to blame TikTok for everything.
I'm on Trader Joe TikTok. Trader Joe's TikTok.
No, I like an individual Joe. No, I don't. I think we should keep with Trader Joe.
I was on the Trader Joe's.
I was on Joe's TikTok.
What I was trying to do was try to make it not seem like I was on actual Trader Joe's TikTok. But I'm on TikTok.
The ticker.
Yeah. See, look.
Trader Joe's side of TikTok.
Yeah. And I just keep getting shown all these delectable things. And I was like, is it time for my return?
I saw someone famous at Trader Joe's the other day, but I don't remember who it was.
Surprise, surprise. You forgetting something.
What? I've never forgotten anything before. Half the time I'm like, do I know you or are you famous? You know what I mean? Yeah. Or do I know you because we used to take Pilates together? Or do I think I know you because I saw you 5 seconds ago and now my brain is like, you look familiar. I'm like, yeah, because you just saw them.
I was out with one of my famous friends and somebody was like, we went to high school together. And they were like, no. And they were like, I think we did. Didn't you go to? Nope, I'm not from there. And I was like,
you gonna tell them?
And they didn't.
No,
And in another place, they said, you look like this character. And they were like, huh. Yeah, I get that all the time. And it was them.
Hey, you gotta make life, you gotta keep life fun. Keep them on their toes. I love that.
Yeah.
That's really funny. Anyways, welcome to Don't Blame Me. Like Melissa said, we're an advice podcast. And
that wasn't me. Prove it.
I can't. There's actually like no recorded evidence. It's like not on audio and it's also not on the video on Patreon, which you should go join.
That's the only way you can really prove it. Is looking at the video.
FBI?
Otherwise, you can't.
Video.
Audio. Anybody.
I was actually, this whole podcast has been deep fakes. The whole time. Deep fakes.
Deep fake audio. It's just people doing impressions.
The whole time people doing impressions.
That's actually a funny bit.
That is. Anyways, welcome. We're going to give you some wonderful advice because we're the best and
we can't do anything but.
Literally. We just can't be anything other than like the best, amazing, great, like gorgeous, stunning, intelligent, sexy, exuberant.
Lickable.
Are you about to come in here with a weird ass fucking sound effect?
No, I was changing it so I didn't accidentally play the sound effect.
Okay, because have we been keeping those in the episode?
No, I've been forgetting to actually send them to Coco, so then she doesn't put them in because I don't send them.
Okay, well, just know that like the last like 3 times we've recorded, Melissa like has randomly accidentally played a weird ass sound effect.
I forget that those happened, and then so I haven't been sending them to her. Yeah. So
it's okay. Well, now you know inside the podcast studio. So if you want to call in for an upcoming episode, because this is voicemails. Voicemails, voice memos, you send them to us, meghanpodcast@gmail.com, or you leave us a voicemail at 310-694-0976. Voice memos are like, you know, for the international. Mm-hmm. But if you can send one if you're not international, but like, why?
I prefer you not to.
No, just send the call.
I mean, it's like a catch-22, if you will, because if you do the call, then we can transcribe it faster. Mm-hmm. But if you do the voice memo, the quality's better. Unless
pick your poison.
Gamer headsets, then audio's great. And you'll hear an example of that in just a few minutes.
Yeah. For the calls, you need to keep it under 3 minutes. We say that you should practice, time it out, write down everything that you want to say, read it, time yourself, make sure it's under 3 minutes, that you have all the relevant information. It's all anonymous, include your ages, multiple people in there, pseudonyms, it's all anonymous. But how long have you been dating? If about living together, how long have you lived together? How old are you? Like all of the information
is very important.
It is like so fucking important. And if you are international and like your age is related to something, like you're like, oh, I'm this age and like we're doing body shots. Like my advice is going to be pretty different if you're in a country where that's legal or illegal.
Right.
Like we want to give you the most applicable advice to your situation, but we need to know what your situation is before we can give you the best advice.
Exactly.
So, yeah. And if you want to watch the video version, we're on Patreon, so you can see our wonderful faces and facial expressions. And we have an update. So you will hear what episode this is from and what the new news is.
Roll the tape.
So I am providing an update for the going from platonic friends to casual dating, I think it was the title of it. I wrote my notes. I should have checked my notes. But yeah, so my original call was, I'm a 29-year-old non-binary Pisces, and I have been platonic friends with this guy who I met through our local theater community for a couple of years, and we just recently started casually dating. I think I described myself in the original call as a serial monogamist, and maybe that is kind of a misnomer because it's not like I've gone from like monogamous relationship to monogamous relationship one after another. I've just been in one monogamous relationship for a really like for the past several years. So going from that to anything else is kind of a huge difference. So when I called in, I asked for some advice or some guidance on like how to deal with this feeling of like this person that I love in like a friendship way to now we're navigating kind of a new relationship. And so like, how do I deal with that? Y'all's advice was not, I don't know what I was expecting, but I wasn't expecting, this is a bad idea, don't do it.
Sorry, but not sorry.
No, do not be sorry, because I mean, that was like what I needed to hear, was not just what I like wanted to hear, like blind validation, right? Like I needed to hear that this is maybe not a good idea and you should be really, really serious and really cautious about like what your expectations are and what you're feeling. And so I really did take it to heart. And I called in about a month before the episode with my call actually aired. And I was outside of the restaurant right before our third date. And so I've obviously been on that date already. And it went well. Thanks for asking. And we've so me and this guy have been dating regularly for, I guess, since like I don't know when this will air, but it's been almost a couple of months at this point. And it's been going well. We've been like talking a lot. Like there's a lot of check-ins about, hey, so I have serious feelings for you, but I still don't want to like be your boyfriend. And that has come from the both of us. Like that's a very mutual feeling. Like I think when I say that we're casually dating, I do mean, I don't know if that's even the right thing to call it, but like we're not trying to put a label on it or anything, but we have like gone to a friend's wedding after party together as each other's dates. Like we went on a few kind of private, quiet dates at first, and then we went on some group outings. And so our friends know that we're seeing each other, but our friends also know that I at least am seeing other people. I'm like dating other people from dating apps. Like I'm not dating any other friends. So yeah, I guess that's kind of where we're at now. But if you guys had any questions or clarifications.
Yeah, I do. I have so many questions. Is he dating other people?
He's not dating other people, but not necessarily because he like doesn't want to, just because he's busy because of his job and his lifestyle in general. He's like a busy guy. So that's kind of one of the reasons that he doesn't want to commit to being my boyfriend, is because he feels that he doesn't like have the time to commit to that kind of relationship. There have been other, like I don't want to spill someone else's beans, but there have been other relationship things that have happened that he's put up certain boundaries for this relationship, for our relationship, and I just want to respect that as much as I can. So, but no, he's not dating other people, but I am.
Wow. So do you have time? Like, that's the part that I'm like, so you have time to like do the both things. Like, would you consider him like, I don't know if you're using the term like primary partner, like do you value like making time, like if you're planning a date, let's say you're seeing like 4 people, like, is it first come, first serve? Like we made a thing first, but if like this person needed like, you know, if he was like, hey, I like need you to come do this thing, like, would you drop someone else? Like not like permanently, but like cancel plans to do pickup plans with him, or like where does he fall in like your ranking? Like is he number 1 on the bench lineup or number 2?
That's a really funny way to put that really great question. So I would consider him like, yes, like he gets first dibs. This is the more serious like connection, I guess, of the other stuff I have going on. This is a serious connection that I don't really have with anyone else at this time. I have sort of in the recent past had like more than one serious connection going on, and at that point it is just kind of a case by case basis of like, okay, if both of these people ask me on a date at this like on the same day, at that point it's like which of these events is like the more hefty thing, like that's the one I'm gonna go with.
Yeah, who has better plans?
Right. Yeah, who has better plans? Or
Yeah,
is it
like what's more fun?
right, am I going to like someone's baby shower, or am I just like going to Quiznos? Like that's kind of where like where the hierarchy goes.
I'd pick Quiznos.
I don't even know if I don't want to say primary partnership, because again, I'm like trying to respect his boundaries.
Yeah.
But for me, just only speaking of my feelings, yes, this is like the what did you say, the number one on the lineup? Yeah.
Yeah, number one. He's number one on the roster, first on the call sheet.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So
you put him in.
I don't want this to
LeBron.
come exactly. I don't want this to come across like disrespectful or like anti non-monogamy at all. Like I'm not personally, for me, ADHD, I can't focus on that many things, can't have that many plates spinning.
Fair.
But like for you, like now that you have like gotten out of like a very long-term relationship, and like there is something really comforting about dating someone, whether casually or seriously, that you have a friendship with. Like, even though it's not like a 7-year long relationship, like there is a little bit more history there to that. So like I'm saying, like, kind of has a leg up on other people that you're probably seeing. But if he was interested and like he hadn't set up the boundaries of like, that he doesn't have the time to commit to a relationship at this moment, do you feel like you would want to get back into another like similar long-term relationship that you had before, which then could potentially make you a serial monogamist? Right. Like, would you want to get back into something like that with him? Like, do you feel, I don't want to say like got out of your system, but do you feel like this is a new chapter? Did you feel like this is like a new book of life? Like, or do you feel like this is like a chapter that will have an end date for you, and like you'll want to get back into a relation, like a more serious relationship, or a monogamous relationship with one person? And do you feel, because like I think about this all the time, where it's so much less about the people and it's about like what you're ready for. Like I think that with people like who get married and who get engaged, I'm like, yes, it's about having the right person, but it's so much more about like where you're at. So like eliminating him from the situation, and like I'm not saying eliminating his boundaries, but like eliminating like those conversations. Do you feel like this is like continuing on this path for you, like this journey's not done? Or do you feel like, oh, okay, I've done this and now I kind of I've seen this other side? And like, do you see yourself getting into a similar, I don't know how the old relationship was, but do you see yourself getting into like a similarly long relationship now?
So that's something that I'm open to discussing. If that was something that this person brought to me, like, hey, I do want to get more serious, and I do want to like put a label on this, be Facebook official, like meet your parents, blah, 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 I would be so open to considering that and to having that conversation. Is that something I'm like looking for right now? Not necessarily, but that's also not something I'm opposed to. Right now, I am kind of just having a good time, like seeing what, not to be so woo-woo about it, but like what comes to me. Like I'm just kind of being as open-minded as I can, while also being honest with myself and saying like, I do check in with myself a lot, and I'm like, okay, am I having a good time? Like, am I actually doing this because I like want to be dating other people? Is this like a, I don't know, escape mechanism or a self-harm thing? And so I not to brag, but I am in therapy, and I feel like I'm
brag,
doing a good job
brag all
like
about
that.
it. Yeah, fuck yeah, therapy.
But yeah, I'm open to that. Like I'm open to crossing that bridge if we come to it.
I personally think that this is a great way to go about dating. After you've been in a long-term relationship for that long, you're getting back on the saddle, you're dating a friend that you like, and then you got your other playthings that are, bench warmers. I think this is great.
I think it's a good rotation to have, and especially like
now.
Doing all the check-ins and stuff. Like I think like I'm not gonna lie to you, I still stand by what I said the first time. Like this could go abysmally wrong, but I think you know that.
At least you know it could go wrong. You're in therapy and you've got the rest of the bench.
Yeah, like I think you've padded your situation quite well. That like, as long as like you are aware that like, hey, this could absolutely blow up in my face. Like I do shit like that all the time, that this could blow up in my face, but like I'm consenting to it potentially blowing up in my face, and that's fine.
To be the greatest
exactly, and like that's a risk worth taking.
And I feel like people like that's part of dating is taking risks.
Oh, without a doubt.
And being with somebody that's your friend that also has their own boundaries that are very clear, that you both understand and are welcoming of and respectful of. I think this is a great setup.
Yeah, now knowing also that you're not actually a serial monogamous, you're just in one long monogamous relationship, that does change things too. Yeah. Because like serial monogamous, like,
yeah, I'm not a serial monogamous. I'm just an idiot and don't know like the correct vocabulary.
You're talking to someone who like doesn't know any fucking words. I just spent like last half of like the podcast we recorded before this just being like, I don't think I know how to read. Like I understand. So like I think that like you're able. A serial monogamous, there's a way different mindset and like a different like comfortability pattern. So like it makes sense to me that you're kind of like scratching the itch of like what a long-term relationship is, and that's hooking up with and dating a friend, but then you're also like dating other people,
like
seeing
what you like.
Yeah, you're not slipping back into something that's exactly like you did before, just like without the label, and like you're not hoping that label is going to like suddenly appear there. Like, you're doing the inventory, you're doing all the work. So I think you're doing I think this is great.
Word. Yeah, there's no ulterior motives. I'm not like hoping this will go one way or another, and I don't think the other guy is either. So
yeah,
this is great.
Then I think that's great. Then I'm all on board with this.
We love the clarity. We love elevation.
Therapize.
Well, I'll continue to keep y'all posted.
Please
if
do.
If this blows up or if we get married, I'll let you know.
But we love it. We we're about it.
Decide you just want to be friends.
Yeah, couldn't be me because I'm so petty, but like I
can be me.
I'm envious of people like both like being able to do that. I've never been the bigger person in my life. Never. I'm just tall. That's it.
Yeah.
I will say also, I told him that I called an advice podcast and he thought that was really funny. And we like talked about it. He was like, what did you say?
See, the fact that y'all even talked about it. That's like really good.
Yeah. If you could talk about it and be like, I literally called this podcast and these people were like, yeah, it's a really bad idea. And then you can both laugh about it and continue your date and then like fuck later. Like, then I'm just like, whatever we said, like fucking ignore us. Like you're doing your own thing. Like you're good. Like that level of communication.
Life experiences.
Do it for the plot.
Yeah.
I love it.
Y'all are so kind. No, I would never ignore your advice. I wouldn't have called y'all if I didn't want to actually hear what you had to say. So I'm honored that you cared enough to want an update.
We do.
Calling us kind, one.
Yeah, that don't know last time that happened.
And two, thank you for, not taking our advice, but still like coming for the update and then sharing like what you did take from it. And,
yeah, we're happy for you. Yeah. And I've got my popcorn. Like I'm ready to get the updates as this happens.
It's no got peed on by the bride, but I'm looking forward to.
We can't all get peed on.
We can't
all get peed on.
Christened by the urine.
Yeah.
God. Golden shower.
Oof. It's disgusting. I'm not over it. Well, thank you so much for giving the update. And yeah, we look forward to hearing more as things come and wishing you lovely, wonderful, amazing relationships and fun times and just like
good wet sex.
Good wet sex.
Awesome. Thanks, y'all. Appreciate you.
Of course. Have a good one.
Day. Wow. Look at us. We change clothes really fast.
Oh, we have other podcasts too. And the outfit changes are on top of it. So we're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back. Hi. So we're back at it again. And now it's time to get the nitty gritty. You came here for the advice and you're going to get advice. Is it going to be good? Always. Is it going to be chaotic? Maybe.
I think it'll be. We're in a mood.
Will your therapist approve? I don't know.
A lot of therapists do approve of us.
Sometimes people like I see people, I think a lot of people online say that they're a therapist and like they're in college, like they're in school and undergrad. And they're like, yeah, like this is like blah, 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 my mindset. I'm like, I don't trust you.
I get that, but you're trying to make us look worse. I'm saying.
Oh, no, I know. That was just a sidebar. No, therapists like us, hairstylists like us, grad students like us. Not all of them. I just know a couple.
Like
Doctor likes
us. Two.
Who's our second doctor?
There's the other one's in school.
Yeah.
Almost
doctor. Doctor likes us. Soon. Doctors. If you don't fucking fail. Kidding. Or you don't hate us before you finish.
Dr. Oz is one, so.
Oh. Well, that's a negative 10,000 points.
Well, shall we get into the calls?
Roll the tips.
Hey, Eminem. I'm a 22-year-old woman who goes by she, her. Small trigger warning, mention of childhood trauma. I'm calling and needing advice on my dilemma. I've lived in Florida since I was a child, so it's basically all I know. I've lived with my parents since I was young. I wasn't able to afford housing either when I was in college. You know, that being said, my parents are really strict, and when I would go out and party with my friends on the weekends, my mom would text me nonstop telling me to come home. In a sense, this has caused me to crave freedom, and I grew up in a Christian household as well, so when I'm having identity issues, it's not something I can speak about. There was a time I had a tiny crush on this girl I met at a bar. I was so close to letting my mom know, but I just never did. I've always wanted to move out for these reasons and some deep-rooted trauma. I feel like since I was young, I've always wanted to move far away, but I've never had the chance. I was thinking of moving to LA, across the country. So dramatic, I guess. And my entire family sticks up their nose, and no one in my life seems to think this is a good idea or I can do it. I've weighed out the pros and cons, and I've been thinking about this for years. I know I'm young, so I can make silly mistakes, and sometimes it can be rash, especially my thinking, and naive, but I feel like my gut is telling me to go. I visited before, but I only stayed for a couple of days due to it being very last minute. The things I have in order, I have about $3,000 saved right now. I'm still saving as well. I was planning on renting an Airbnb before signing a lease so I can make sure this is what I want. When I first got my job, my hiring manager said it's possible for me to also transfer there. Plot twist, I'm supposed to move January of next year. However, I fear if I put it off too long, I'll be stuck and complacent with where I am. Do you have any advice on how much money I should have saved, if I should wait? My mom also said that I wouldn't want to like it there because a lot of the liberal voters are moving out and into Florida. I don't know if that's true or not. I'm also an Aries, and I love the pod. I've been listening since the very first episode. Bye.
Wait, so the last part she was saying her mom said that all the liberals are leaving?
They're leaving.
That's like...
and moving to Florida.
That's like really not true. All the conservatives are closeted conservatives, and socially liberal, fiscally conservative are the ones moving to states with lower tax.
Like, there's still plenty of people moving into California. I saw somebody break down the video because there's this guy that like studies trends and stuff, like as far as numbers and shit like that and migrations, and somebody had commented that same thing on his TikTok, and then he broke down like how people are actually moving, and it's still more people are still coming to California than leaving.
Yeah, and also more people like move to California than like almost like any other state. Like it's people flock there, not even just for jobs. Like it's also the biggest. I think it's the biggest state with the most tourism within America. Like Americans coming to California. I say this with love. You need so much more than $3,000 in savings to move. The Airbnb thing is not a bad idea in concept, but you're going to blow all of your money on an Airbnb to figure out if you want to be here. Like you need to have a friend that you can stay with.
A friend to stay with. But if you've got your job says you can transfer here, then that helps take care of it. I will say, like, maybe instead of an Airbnb, and if you don't have a friend, I did when I first moved out here, I had stayed with a friend for like 3 months. But you can also sublet.
Yeah.
That would be like, if you don't have a friend, that would be, you don't need to Airbnb. You should sublet from somebody.
Yeah. You should, under no means should you Airbnb for like a time period to figure out if you like the city, because you have to think about like the investment of like, okay, well, I need to figure out if I like it. And it's like, oh, well, are you going to blow all your savings and then be like, okay, I don't like it.
Yeah.
Or I do like it. Like, then what? Like
what I did, I don't know if what's up with your job, like if they have an office or anything here, but what I did is I worked on a few student films before I moved here to see if I liked it, and then stayed with my friend. I came out here like 3 or 4 times.
I think like you coming from another beach area, like Florida. I mean, I guess not all of Florida's beach, but like coming from like a state that's that coastal to another one, like there are very large differences in specifically like the climate and like the politics and people.
Mm-hmm.
But I think in general, like I've had a newfound renaissance love of LA, like especially with where I moved. And like I have figured out that for me, the thing that like I realized was I only saw LA as work. Like I never saw kids playing and hanging out. Like I never saw like, I only saw like the grind. I only saw people working 7 days a week. Like I couldn't see it as a home until I moved into a home with other people, like watching them raise their kids. And like I saw a different side of it. But I will say that like, if your job isn't industry, like entertainment industry based in LA, if I were you, I would treat this as maybe I'll move there for a couple years, but to kind of put all of your eggs in one basket of like LA's a really fucking expensive, really hard city to live in, that like people who don't need to live in LA and they don't work in the industry, you get burnt out because your job and your life would be a lot easier if you worked in the industry or you lived somewhere else. Like it just kind of gets in the way of everything else. And so like, that's what sends people to leave LA is because they don't actually need to be there. And there's a lot of people who have to be in LA for work. And so a lot of the negative side effects of like the immense amount of traffic, like streets being closed down because they're filming shit, like events, like all of that stuff, like you have a much wider bandwidth of patience when it's your field. When it's not your field, it's like, what the fuck are you doing? Like you're ruining this. Like you're in the way. This is too busy, blah, blah, blah.
I do have a few friends that live here because they love living here and don't live in the industry. And so they don't live in like LA, they live in like South Bay.
Yeah.
So like without knowing what industry you work in, it's kind of hard. But like most of my friends that don't work in the entertainment industry don't like live in actual LA. And I think because South Bay is more like, it feels more suburban.
Yeah. And like you can go either direction and it will feel like that. So like if you're in the entertainment like industry, then you're going to end up in LA or New York, like pretty much regardless if you're trying to broaden your career and not stay in like a local kind of thing. So if that's what you want to do, like go for it. But also if that's not where your career is, I would move I wouldn't live in LA proper. And, LA County and LA City are very different. There's also what locals and people who live here consider LA. I think if you're interested in getting into the industry and like even pivoting jobs, I would still say that like this shit's going to be so fucking expensive. And yes, gas is expensive, but rent is more expensive. So like
is so expensive.
Like $3,000 is rent for a month. Like, so that's not enough to have saved up. Like in general, I think the rule of thumb is like your emergency fund should be 6 months of your rent. Like it should cover minimum 6 months of your expenses, but like at the very least, like your rent. And that's assuming if you can get food at work or whatever.
Also in LA, they make you have like for rent, first, last, and a deposit.
Yeah. So that's unless
the 3,000 is not going to be enough.
No. So like you basically, unless you have like a parents co-signing that, like it's also going to be pretty hard to get an apartment there. And like to find an apartment that you could afford in LA City proper that might be within your budget is not going to be a location that like I think you should move when you first move to LA. Like it's just there's going to be a reason why that it's that cheap and it's not going to be the best for you. So I would say like I don't know, like go on Google Earth, like watch people on YouTube, like like tours of like vlog in a day in San Diego, vlog in a day in. And I wouldn't say Orange County if you want, maybe if you want a slight sidestep to Florida.
She's trying to.
I know exactly. You want the total opposite. So like, but I would like look at that stuff because yes, traveling there and like, seeing it all in person is great. But like you said, like you're young, you said you could be impulsive and like make a risk. I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
No,
like
I left.
Yeah, you should do it, but you need to do it with the money that you have. And sure, the ideal way is spending a couple times in like weeks there and making sure that you like it. But the reality is like you're going to see it sight unseen in person. You're going to sublet a place and you're going to do it for 3 months. And if you fucking hate it, you'll come back. Like that's the way to do it. You don't have to like prepare and set like routes to make sure that like, oh, I want to live here for the next 10 years. Like all you have to do is like live there for like a 3-month sublet. That is like all you have to do. And after you do that, then decide where you want to be and what's going to be the best location for you. But out of the city is going to be better. And I would agree. I would do South Bay. Like that's where I would move because you think you'll have a little bit more fun. But it's a hard city to live in, and I love it. Like I love being in California, and you moved in a far more similar culture shock difference. But you just need to remember that like there are some really, really, really great things, but there are other things that it's just a little bit harder. Like it's like New York. New York is hard to live in. Like LA is hard to live in. Like it's a hassle to get groceries. It's a hassle. Like I could never live in New York. And like I think like getting in my car and being in traffic, like that is fucking par for the course. Like I'm fine with it. I'm so okay with it. But some people makes them stir crazy. And so the pro con list, realizing that like, how do you like to live your life in a day-to-day like space? Like, do you like having a car? Like, do you not like driving? Do you not like driving on the freeway? Like, not just people's political affiliations, because you're going to find people of all political affiliations in LA, but it's, you know.
You also find people lying about where they fall on the spectrum.
Yeah. And I was just say, just a little quick tidbit. Rick Caruso is not a Democrat. So if you see people being like, yeah, no, I'm liberal, like, yeah, Rick Caruso, like, great. It's not it. It's really not it. I will also say that like the Ask Los Angeles and like LA subreddits are really great for like a lot of people who've like just moved to like, you know, find events and like talk about like things to go to and all of that stuff. But it's hard. So I would treat it like a 3-month sabbatical, not from work, but like I would treat it like that. You don't have to love it for the rest of your life.
Yeah. I mean, and for me, because I moved from, in case you didn't know, I moved from Arkansas, and I told everybody in my life I was moving, and they didn't actually believe me into like, I set like a day I'm leaving. I saved up money, got in my car. People didn't believe I was leaving till I was actually leaving. And then my mom was like, oh, I'm coming now to help you move. And I was like, oh, okay, whatever. You can pay for all this. And so, yeah, like I understand like people not actually thinking that you're going to go. Like you just have to set your own timeline and go. And then when I got here, it was like, I think a lot of people talk about like LA being so fake, but it's about finding your community of people that you enjoy. So when I got here, I had a friend that lived here and I stayed with her for a few months. She introduced me to some of her friends. Also, I was in school, so I met people through school, and then I went to like alumni events from University of Arkansas that were here too. So then I was meeting a lot of different types of people, and it's weird. There's probably people like from
honestly
that are here. There's so many people that I went to college with that are like, they might have been a few years older or younger than me, but we were in school at the same time. There's so many people here. And it seems so random. Like I've gone to events and just ran into people that I knew from college. So like find people that are from the same place that you are, because then it helps, like having that familial, like even if they weren't like exactly your friend then, they might become your friend now because there's just an understanding.
It's hard to find people to make friends with in LA. Like LA kind of feels like an abandoned city with like people are everywhere. But then the second you see someone and you meet someone, like everybody's looking to like make friends and make new friends. Like it can be very isolating because you're in your car all the fucking time, but there's not always some spontaneous moments to make friends with strangers.
Yeah.
Like you have to kind of put a little bit of legwork in, and then you meet one person and you now know 100. Like it's really like networky in that sense, but it's just different. Like it's a very different place to live, and it also really varies neighborhood to neighborhood of like what kind of people that you're going to get and what kind of lifestyle that they have. Like I think a lot of people when they talk about like, oh, LA, like it's like Fox News LA, it's not real. But then also it's
when you say Fox News LA, are you talking about like actual Fox News
KTLA? No, like the Fox News version of like Hollywood Elites in LA.
Fox News LA, they're kind of cool.
No, yeah, like it's not regular. They're not like other Fox News is.
Like it's not like
it's our local news.
Yeah, we're talking about Fox local news, and they're called Fox News LA.
No, yeah. I mean,
you're talking about the corporation,
yes,
as in the
national
syndicated. Yes.
People talking about like, oh, LA and these Hollywood elite, blah, blah. There's that version. And then there's a lot of people who like are burned by LA and hate LA. And then the only LA that they see is like corporate work culture LA. And like, there's no fun there.
Mm-hmm.
And like the only people you see having fun are trust fund babies. Like I would even say that like after those 3 months, like you might, it's not even like if you like LA, it's like, do you like that neighborhood? Like, do you like that area? Like there's a lot that it has to offer. And I think if you're drawn to LA, that's like a really good sign. Like a lot of people aren't. Like I think what people hear of LA is way worse than what LA is. So I think if you're drawn to it, I think you'll be even more surprised how much you like it when you're here. Because it's better than how people describe it. But it is like really what you make of it. And if you want to be here, I think you'll put all of that effort in. But again, financially, I just like cannot explain to you like it's not just your rent. Like your rent is so expensive, but like you have to pay for parking. Like if you get an apartment, you have to pay for parking in the apartment. If you don't have apartment parking, you have street parking, you have to pay for a street parking permit.
Yeah. And you might as well have a budget line for parking tickets because they're inevitable. Like
inevitable. Like even just groceries are expensive. You have to pay to park anywhere. You have to pay to park at Target, at the grocery store. Like, and if you suddenly forget it, like just if you're not even used to doing that, like you're going to pay like $25, $50, $100 every time you lose a ticket.
But if you're in South Bay, you're good.
Yeah, no, you're fine.
They got
like,
parking lots there.
Yeah, it's like and like gas prices, yes, are expensive, but also like you're using more gas because you're commuting. So it's a really high financial cost.
Restaurants are so much more expensive.
Oh yeah. Remember the gym?
The gym. I went back home to Arkansas for Christmas. It was Christmas, and I was there for a month, and I was like, I need to work out at the gym. So I went to the gym, and it was a brand new, like state of the art, multi-level gym with all these classes and like amazing equipment and stuff. And so I was like, hey, do you have like a visitor thing? And they're like, yeah, we can give you one for like 2 days or something, but you'll have to buy like a membership if you want to come longer than that. And I was like, okay. And they said, it's a little pricey. And I said, okay, like how much is it? And they're like, it's $25. And I was like, you can't even get a class in LA.
You can't get, first of all, you can't get a class in LA. You can't even drive to said class, nor can you park there.
The class. Yeah.
Or rent the equipment you need to use for the class.
And the classes were included.
Yeah, like
that's not heard of here. Even in like restaurants, like I'll forget. Like if I go to a restaurant here, I just assume that I'm going to pay a minimum at like, and it's not even like a great restaurant, $35, and then add on tip and whatever. And I go back and it's like $10 for a great meal, and I forget.
See, that's why, honestly, I'm the perfect person to have moved to LA, because I moved from a place that's like even more expensive than LA to LA. And then the only other place I like really spent a lot of time in is New York. So like if I like went to Ohio or some like other like smaller, I'd be like, for free?
That's how
what?
Like I've been here so long, like when I go back, I forget.
It's a lot. So for sticker shock, I do hope you live in Miami right now.
Yeah.
I don't think you do.
I think you'd be a little bit more.
I think, maybe.
There's a lot of conservatives in Miami.
Yeah, that is true. Yeah. So, but it's just a lot, and it's not a place where you can cut it on a budget. Like you can't, like you need a lot of money to live without a lot of money. Like it's like the lifestyle that you would have, there isn't a way to do it frugally and safely. Like it's just there, it's just really, there's not. And that's the most important part. Like there's
the people that I know that are doing it more frugally, they're living in like a 3-bedroom apartment with like 6 people there that are friends.
Yeah. Like,
you can do it. It's just not.
You're not going to be able to do it when you start too, though. Like it's going to be like, you need to have enough savings saved up to then be able to get a situation where you can save a little bit of money out here. But like in order to like get out here and start, like you're going to need a lot more than that. Like I would just look at average rent, and then I would tack on, if it's an apartment complex, I would tack on $100 to $250 for parking. And if it's street parking, I'd tack on $100 for parking for a year. That, but
I was going to say, it's street parking, I'd do $100 a month.
How much are those things though?
No, I'm saying like tickets.
Oh, meters.
As a podcast network, our first priority has always been audio and the stories we're able to share with you. But at Realm, we also sell some pretty cool merch, and organizing that was made both possible and easy with Shopify. When you think about successful businesses like Aloe or Allbirds or Skims, an often overlooked secret is the business behind the business that makes selling and, for shoppers, buying simple. For millions of businesses, that business is Shopify. That's because nobody does selling better than Shopify. It's the home of the #1 checkout on the planet. And the not-so-secret secret that's definitely worth talking about is that Shop Pay boosts conversions up to 50%. That's more happy customers and way more sales going. If you're hoping to grow your business, your commerce platform better be ready to sell wherever your customers are scrolling or strolling, on the web, in your store, in their feed, and everywhere in between. Businesses that sell more sell on Shopify. Upgrade your business and get the same checkout we use with Shopify. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/realm, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/realm to upgrade your selling today. Shopify.com/realm.
Oh, okay. We don't even have tickets yet.
I know. Oh,
but I was gonna say for the parking, for the like LA City parking passes and stuff.
That had one of those.
So
I don't know how much they cost.
That's like $100 a year, but like for an apartment, $100 to $250 a month for a parking spot. So like factor in that stuff. Factor in $100 a month for parking tickets. Like factor in all of those other things, not just rent, and do that for 6 months, and then see if you can, and then do it for 3, and then see how that goes. But like, you don't want to be stuck out here without any money.
Yeah.
It's really expensive.
All right, next call.
Hey, Meghan and Melisa. I'm a new caller, but I've been binging all your stuff. And me and my girlfriend, we together. I'm 20, she, her. She's 20, she, her. We both kind of come from a different home life, in a sense. She grew up with her mom being a hoarder, and I grew up in a very clean, everything has a place type of household. And I just don't know how to communicate with her on how I like things without necessarily hurting her feelings or bringing up past trauma. I tried saying something about it in the past, but it just seems like it doesn't resonate with her, or I guess necessarily get across, because I really don't want to live where everything's just kind of everywhere. So if y'all could give me any advice on that, or any tips or pointers, that'd be great. I really enjoyed the podcast. Thank y'all so much. All right, bye.
We haven't had a cleaning one in a while.
Yeah, a really long time, actually.
I know. So people might not know our controversial opinions on cleaning. I think like the first thing I would say is there's a difference between someone who, there's a lot of different reasons why someone is like messy. Like there's no moral superiority for being like being clean. Like there's no moral weight to any of that. It's not better or worse than anything else. But that's like not socially acceptable to say that. Like people like view cleanly. What's the clean God line?
Cleanliness is next to godliness.
I don't even know if that's exactly what it means, but like that's how I've always, the words I've heard of it as. Yeah, like it's just viewed as like what is like superior. And you were like, I need to explain, like, how do I communicate how I like things? How does she like things? Because if she's someone who like, is it like scatterbrained? Does she like need to see everything out in order to like, does she need to like, is it helpful for her to have piles? Does she like that? Does she like a maximalist look? But also specifically like, does she like to be able to see her things to know that they're there? Or is it, I just haven't, I don't see the mess. I don't see it and I don't like it. And like, it makes me anxious and I want to change. I don't want to be like that. Because I think truly like your level of cleanliness and organization, like how you like a house, I think is, I think it's the same level of like, do you want kids? What's your religious beliefs? Like it's really fundamental to who
do you want the house?
Oh, we talked about that. I don't know how the fuck people do it who are like two different temperature kinds of people. Like we're the same temperature person and it's great. And Mott's is like, whatever the fuck you want. I'm like, amazing. That's how your response to everything should be.
Exactly.
But I think that like at a certain point, like, are you not compatible when it comes to like your living spaces? Like, is it like, is she going to sacrifice her happiness for yours? Or are you going to have to sacrifice your happiness for hers? Or is there a compromise? Or is this something that she wants to do? Like, I didn't grow up in a clean house. Like, I didn't grow up in a hoarder's house, but I would say if there's like a couple steps between that, like I didn't grow up in a clean, organized house where everything has a place. So I have adopted a lot of those cleaning mentalities of like, you clean before people come, like you clean before people see. And if like your house is messy, you can never have spontaneous hanging out with people. Like no one can come inside your house unless you've been prepared, which is awful. It's not fun. I don't like that about myself. But like, there's a way for me, if someone was like, you know, if something was dirty or something, like if you ever came over and like, I mean, you've seen my house messy, but I'm saying if you ever came over and you were like, oh my gosh, I got this thing that's like so helpful, like this right here, like it would fix right there. That to me is not judgment. That to me is like I see that this is a problem. I've had that problem. I've been you. Look what I found. That's building someone up versus like, I need you to do this. This is like blah, 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 blah. Like there can't be an authoritative tone or like way you speak about cleaning because again, like it is really attached to like, especially if she grew up in a hoarder home, like the trauma aspect of there, like she might have not had great hygiene. She might not have been able to have her hair brushed. Like she might have been told that she smelled or she was dirty. She might not have had people over at her house. Like there's so much more trauma there than just like people had a lot of stuff. So like the connotation with someone who's not clean is the alternative is like you're disgusting and you're dirty. And so you need to really separate those things also in your mind that like if you need something to be clean to a certain level, you either need to be in it together and not from an authoritative point of view, or maybe if this is how she needs it versus how you need it.
Yeah. I'm like fine with my own mess, but I hate other people's messes in my space.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And also, I don't like anyone to ever see my house dirty unless I'm very close to them.
Yep.
Even like with you never like saw a mess to like a month ago, maybe.
No, I know. We would still, I think it was, I don't know, up until when we would still like, we like would clean and then it would be like, oh, we have to reschedule or something. Then it was like, you know, slowly getting like a little bit less and less, but like, yeah, no, we didn't. There's still like things I'm going to pick up.
Yeah. Like I clean before you come over, but it's not to the extent that I was cleaning before. Like before I was like mopping and sweeping.
No, I'll clean for you the least, but I'm still cleaning for you.
Cleaning. Like I'm not going to leave like a dirty pan in there.
No, I won't see it though. I can't see shit.
I know you can't see anything, but I can see it.
Yeah, and that's all that matters.
Yeah. But like people have a different level of messiness and you have to figure out when you're in a relationship or in a roommate situation or anything where you have more than like one person living together, you have to like figure out what's everyone's equilibrium. Like where can we live to where like it's just messy enough that you can deal with it and she's clean up enough that you can deal with it. And so it could be like, I don't know, like what she does is she like leave piles of clothes somewhere, maybe put a hamper or
basket,
like where she usually leaves her clothes. And then instead of putting it on the floor, she's putting it directly into the basket. Is it leaving dirty dishes? Maybe say like, you know, after maybe it's like one person cooks, one person cleans, or saying like at the end of the night, we're going to clean together.
Yeah. Like
because I know people that like don't go to bed with their house dirty.
Yeah. If that's your expectation, like you have to set that with each other because like, I think like the biggest thing, baskets, like anywhere, if it's like, oh, like keys, go, whatever, like baskets everywhere, baskets, like even does she keep glasses of water in the bedroom? Get a basket, get a tub that they get put in at the end of the day or the end of the week. She brings them back to the kitchen. But cleaning is miserable for some people and the result is not worth the misery. For other people, like when it's good work. And then when I'm done, like it feels so good and that was so worth it. That's like legitimately not how everybody's brains work. Right. And I know that's hard for some people to like realize. So like the actual effort isn't worth the reward at the end. And so you need to figure out like Melissa said, like what is the in between? Because for you, if you want to have the house spotless every night before you go to bed, and that's absolutely fucking miserable for her, it needs to be like, okay, then this needs to be like, things just need to not be out at the end of the day. They're all in their like baskets. They're all in those things. And then when we're emptying those baskets, that's a once a week thing. And something that is helpful for me too, like I haven't printed it yet, but I like spent a bunch of time making like a chore chart of like, okay, how do I keep on top of things? Like, I'm not good at that. Like, I can pick up things when I see them, but if one thing's on the floor, it's fine for me. But then suddenly it's like nine things are on the floor, and now I'm anxious and I'm stressed, and it's like going to be a way harder for me. It's going to take me way longer to clean than it would have if I did it like 5 days ago. So I like made this chart of like, okay, so every day I'm going to do this, every week I'm going to do this, like every 2 weeks I'm going to do this, every month this, 3 times a year, like all of those things. And when you write those things down, it's helpful and it feels like manageable tasks, but like you need to redefine what the clean is for you and the expectation, because it's going to be hard it's going to look like, it's going to feel like mess for you, and it's going to feel like fucking sterile for her.
And I like, we're talking about like different like ways of like cleaning or of cleanliness, quote unquote. Like I have to vacuum my couch.
With something like 5 million podcasts, finding a really good one can take a ton of time. So let me recommend one. It's called Something You Should Know. I'm the host, Mike Carruthers, and in each episode, we discuss topics that can be really helpful, like how to read people better, the psychology of crowds, or fun things like the story of Legos, or why you probably wouldn't be here if it weren't for horses. Something You Should Know is the name of it, wherever you get your podcasts.
Or any soft surface and spray sanitizer on it and wipe down anything that's like been touched, but I'm fine with stuff on the floor.
Yeah.
So it's just like, there's levels to this.
Yeah. And again, like I can't stress enough that like you're not, and I don't mean that you are this at all, but like there isn't like an authority on cleaning. And especially when she has like trauma surrounding, like I've got issues just from like growing up in a house that like wasn't that clean, and like I don't like not knowing how to like do shit. And that's not the level of everybody knows. But when you're in a home with a hoarder, like that's the thing that like more people know about. And so there's a way to kind of put yourself at her same level of like, we're learning how to do this together. And honestly, even if you're lying about it, even if you're like, I just learned how to do this. Like, how cool is this? Like, it needs to come from a place of like love and care, not a place of like reprimanding or like fixing or changing or like teaching in a way that feels like a parent or a teacher that you're being scolded. Like, it's like we're in this together, figuring it out together. I think that's always the best approach to take when things have like an emotional tie to them. And there's an emotional tie to cleaning for everyone, even if you didn't have trauma surrounding it.
Yeah.
So best of luck. You're both going to have to compromise, and it's going to suck for both of you. And that's legitimately what compromise kind of is. Like, compromise just means it sucks a little for everyone.
Giving a little bit of what they like, you have to just give a little bit of that away.
Yeah. And it's uncomfortable, but then eventually becomes comfortable because it's normal.
Yeah.
So best of luck. Okay, we take a break and we will be right back.
We're back.
Hi.
Are you excited to answer some more questions?
I don't know. If there's shitty ones, then no. I'm kidding.
Wow.
I'm very excited.
Hey, ladies. I desperately need your help. And this is a juicy one. She, her, am 24 years old, and I live in California. I met a man very recently on Hinge who I'm falling for really fast. He's the sweetest, kindest, most caring person I've ever met. He checks all my boxes. He's also very much my type in pretty much every way. But the thing is, he's a 26-year-old virgin. Is that a red flag or the biggest green flag ever? The reason this scares me is I lost my virginity at 16 and I've had an active sex life since. I'm comfortable going at his pace physically for the most part, but I am a very touchy person. He's never had a serious or long-term relationship. The last quote-unquote relationship he had was in high school. Should I be worried he's afraid of commitment? Should I worry there's something wrong with him? Should I worry about his dick size? No one has ever treated me this well. He's very adamant about waiting on having sex and is awkward and uncomfortable around the subject. He was raised very religious, without good relationship role models, so I can understand where this is coming from. I want to go at his pace, but I tend to move fast emotionally. I've been hurt so many times in horrible, traumatic ways by guys in the past, including my boyfriend of 4 years cheating on me and getting another girl pregnant, and, trigger warning, being raped in January by my ex. I'm scared this will end up being another life-altering heartbreak. I just need help. Please advise. Also, side note, we're going on a date tomorrow, so I guess we'll see what happens. Thanks, ladies. Bye-bye.
Again, I feel like you might have called in before you heard this on the other podcast. Like, we need to stop giving men the compliment of he treats me better than anyone I've ever dated before. Because from the 2 instances you said of people you've dated, him not doing that, bare minimum.
Right.
Absolute bare minimum.
Okay.
Also, being a virgin is not a red flag or a green flag.
It's not a flag.
It's not a flag.
It's not a flag. It's just they have not had sex.
Yeah.
Or whatever their definition of being a virgin is.
Someone tweeted and said either boys liked you in high school or you got Taylor Swift pre-sale tickets. And so I quote tweeted and I said, I will give my virginity back. Like, I'm a born again virgin now. That's what it takes.
Okay.
No, but yeah, it's literally not even a flag.
No.
It's nothing there. Like, it's just
I don't read into it at all.
No, but you being like, he's never had a serious relationship. His only it was a pseudo relationship in high school. Like, if that was the last thing, like, that isn't necessarily a red flag, but it's also not a green flag. That to me is a yellow flag. That is like okay, am I looking for someone who has a lot of experience in relationships, in communication in relationships? Am I looking for someone who knows how to be a boyfriend and I'm not willing to like teach someone how to be in a relationship? Like, you can decide if that's a red or green flag for you.
For you. That's specifically for you.
Yeah, because
you have to analyze it from your viewpoint because it's not fair to him. You know?
Because at a certain point, then it's like, then what the fuck are people who have never had sex and never dated supposed to do?
Right.
Like, just never, well, too late now. No one should date you.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I think that to me is like, from what you've described, very small snippet we've gotten of like your relationships and like your life. Like, you don't want to get fucked over. You don't want to get your heart broken again. There's nothing you can do to like prevent that, no matter if someone's been in a relationship before or hasn't, no matter if someone's had sex before or hasn't. Like, those are so unrelated. And we always run the risk of getting our heart broken when we date. And if that's something that you're not willing to risk, then I think it might be like, take a little bit longer before you start seeing someone. But because we can't guarantee that, it feels like, I wonder if you're looking for something that's wrong with him because you really like him. And I think you should just let yourself like him. And
the thing you said about his dick size,
I just looked down and realized that.
I mean, you might not have listened to But Am I Wrong from 2 weeks ago, but we talked about this and we feel that if you like somebody enough, you'll make it work. And if you want to hear more of our thoughts about that, listen to Fisting Friday from last week.
And you mentioned that, like, you know, you're comfortable going at his pace, but you're a really touchy person. I need us to eliminate the notion of people who being touchy as a thing that can be with anyone else who maybe is not interested in touchy people.
Mm-hmm.
I am not a touchy person. I do not like it. And I don't think that if someone else is not into that it's like, well, I'm just a very touchy person. So like for you, I think I would practice being like, I like physical touch. That's how I like to give and receive love. But that's what I like. That's not how I operate. Like that's because that I think that would be a red flag to him. If that is not what he's into, like you being like that would be a red flag. So I think that like there's a lot of expectations and things we think that specifically the patriarchy has told us that men are supposed to be like. Men are supposed to like, oh, they're like, you know, they're having sex. They've had sex with more people than women have had sex with and all of that. So like in these situations, it can fuck you up. It can give you a little bit of pause, even if you think that you have no internalized misogyny or anything like that. Like there are hangups of what we consider like macho, attractive alpha men versus what women are supposed to be like. And the men you've previously dated or whatever, this seems like it's brand new for you. So it's making you reevaluate also who you are and like what this is. Like, if he's a man like this, then what does it mean that I am? And like, you don't have to have these like roles and assumptions of people. If you like him, you like him and like keep getting to know him, keep going on these dates. If you have sex and it's like fucking awful, then like no harm there. Like that's really what dating is.
It's going to be his first time, so it most likely will be awful. But like you can work with it.
Yeah, and like
if that's what you want.
Do you still like him after? Like as long as like I think if you have the same expectations going in and you're communicative and it's not like, oh, this is a test, you either pass or fail, but like, you know, find out like for him and his pacing of like sex, it's like, so do you foresee yourself having sex for the first time with someone you're in a relationship with? Does it for you need to be someone that you love, or what would happen if you had sex for the first time? And like, it doesn't have to be like in your, like talking about you and him, but like, I don't think from what you've said, it seems like he wants to get it over with. And so then for you, I think you need to make sure before you have sex with him that like, you're not waiting for that to be the final test if you like him, because it's not going to be like the sex you've had before. Like it's going to be really different. It's probably going to be like the first time you had sex when you were 16, but you're more experienced.
Right.
So it's going to be weird. There has to be a level of you like him so much that like you're excited to be that person that he's doing it with for the first time, and you're excited to be the second person he's doing with, and the third, like you're excited for the second time you do it, and the third time, and it's not just leading up to that one moment. Because regardless of your gender, sleeping with someone for the first time and then having them like be done or not call you again or like is a devastating thing. Absolutely, even if you've had sex before,
right?
But if you haven't, like there's some care that needs to go into that, because there's been care that's been put in on the other end.
Yeah. And if he wants to have sex with you, then you need to be willing to put that care in for him.
And communicate.
And if you're not, then, you know, move on.
And that also doesn't make you like a bad person.
Make you a bad person. Some people don't like to be teachers or even like, and I mean, I hate to say this, but it's kind of an experiment the first time that you're having sex too.
And like, I don't feel like that.
It can be pressure if you think of it in a way of like taking somebody's virginity which I hate. And I've talked about this before. It puts too much pressure on it instead of just like two people having sex.
Yeah. Like
you're not like taking his V card or anything. You're not taking anything from him. You're sharing something with him.
Yeah. Like if you like when you get married, you're sharing a marriage and a wedding day or whatever. But like when if you separate and move on, you're like, oh, I've been married before.
Yeah.
Like that's something that you went through and you experienced. But the same way that going to a concert with your friends, like all of this, like the choices that you make in these instances, like in sex as well, like you're going to have shared the first time you have sex. That's going to be the person you had sex with for the first time. And then when that person doesn't mean anything to you anymore, you had sex for the first time. Like you're half of that. And then when they're gone, you're 100% of it. And so just trying to put yourself back in the mindset of how you felt the first time that you're going through all of that, and knowing that like, yeah, they're different age-wise, but those societal expectations and standards of sex, no matter how old you are, like those are still there.
Right.
So I would just be cognizant of that. I don't want to say this in a way that like I'm assuming that you are, but like you did bring up the green flag thing. I would be really cautious to not fetishize it, because that happens specifically a lot with like women who've never had sex before, but it does happen with like men too, where it's like, oh my gosh, you've never been tainted. Like you've never had your heart broken. Like this is like, oh my gosh, this is like, and that's a lot of fucking pressure on someone who's just like never had sex before. Like they're so unrelated. And so thinking that like a virgin has the ability to break your heart just as much as someone who's had sex with 100 people. So like, he's not on a pedestal, but you're also not above him. Like it's just, it is what it is. And if you're down to like experiment and try this stuff out, and you're both on the same page of what that means and what that means in the future and like where you stand, then go for it. But if not, I would dip out a lot earlier than waiting for that moment to then realize, oh, I don't want to do it. So best of luck.
All right. Next call.
Yes.
Hi, Meghan and Melisa. I'm a longtime listener and love both of your podcasts. I'm calling because I need advice on a situation I'm having with my friend/roommate. Me, 22, she, her, and my roommate, also 22, she, her, I'll call her Cassie, are in grad school and have been living together, just the two of us, since June. 2 years ago, Cassie was seeing a guy a couple years older than us that also went to college with us. They weren't exclusive and knew their situationship would end once he graduated and moved back home. Cassie was in love with him, though. They ended up breaking up, and Cassie shared with me a text conversation that they had when this guy was drunk one night, where he was saying really rude things to her, which made her rightfully upset. A couple months later, they started hooking up again and decided to be friends with benefits. Cassie was still very much in love with him and would often visit him at his house that is 4 hours away from us. Fast forward to this past summer, Cassie visited him in May and said she was in love and had a great time. However, when it was his turn to visit a month later, he bailed and said he didn't think he could ever love her. I told her she should move on, and at the moment she seemed like she had enough of him, and I thought it would be over. A couple weeks later, though, she told me that when she reached out to him, they started talking and flirting again, and he told her that he wants to try again and be a better person. Since then, she seemed happy and would constantly talk about how great he is. Recently, he got drunk and texted her rude things again like he did 2 years ago. She told me that she's going to end it if it happens again. I know this is a lot, but here's the last thing. Last week, she got upset over something that has to do with school, and when she talked to him about it, he suggested that she should go to therapy, which made her more upset, and I thought that it was very bad time to bring up therapy to her when she knows that he also needs it. The next day, she wanted to have a talk with him about how what he said wasn't nice, but he ignored her the whole day. She kept sending me screenshots of her text conversation with him as he told her that he needs to focus on himself and that he didn't know where they stand, along with other rude things, even though they are official at this point. After she sent me the screenshots, she texted me that they had an hour-long phone call and that they were all good and it was just miscommunication. This weekend, she's going to visit him, and she keeps saying how excited she is, and in general, she won't stop bringing him up in any conversation we have. I don't know if I should tell her something or let her stay in this relationship that I think is toxic for her. I would love to hear what you guys think I should do, if I should do anything at all. Thank you so much.
Well, you have no control if she stays or not.
No.
You don't get to decide
if
she stays.
You can share your opinion if you want to.
I'm going to be super fucking honest. I think it's probably a miscommunication that you explained it to us, but like, I think that like some people don't have like malicious intent when they suggest therapy, but sometimes it's like,
I can't handle this right now.
Yeah.
So.
And I don't want like, or like personally being like, this is way above like my level of like comfort and expertise. And like, I feel like way out of my element and like helping you with this. And this is like a really serious thing. But then also like, you know, some people like have like, I've said this before, like Moss has brought up, it's like, oh, you know, maybe like getting meds or going to change something or doing whatever. And like I've said before, I'm like, you once you say that to someone one time, similar to a breakup conversation, you say it once. Like if someone's struggling, they know that those resources are there and available and they're just not ready to take them yet.
Right.
So like, was this the first time or was this like I don't want to deal with your shit? Like go to therapy then if it's so fucking hard. Yeah. So like, I can completely understand how there would be a miscommunication there in this instance, but I also don't know that you conveyed it. I can also see it was clearly not a miscommunication in the way that you told us. It was just, there wasn't enough detail for us to be like, oh, wow, like, that was a fucked up thing to say. Right. Because people can suggest therapy who need therapy all the time. Mm-hmm. Like, that's how it goes.
Right.
Texting her rude things when he's drunk is not nice. Like, that's shitty. He shouldn't do that. And like, I wouldn't want to date someone who does that. Have I dated someone who's done that? Yeah. And
I've been that person sometimes. Also,
oh my God, yeah. It's the reason why I don't drink anymore. But like, these traits, like, they're not great. Like, some of the things he's doing, like, really aren't great. Like, all of this shit. But like, the real issue here is that your roommate is sharing all of this with you and then expecting you to like wipe the slate clean every time. And that's what a therapist would do, not a roommate and a friend.
Right.
Like, you're just the wrong audience. And I think you just need to tell her that, of being like, I really care about you. Like, I like love being your roommate. I just like want to say that like, I have a really hard time, like, when you share these things that happen in like your relationship that are so bad and you get back together, like, I don't know where I'm supposed to stand. Like, I don't know if I'm supposed to be advocating for yesterday you, or if I'm supposed to be on team today you. Like, it's really hard for me. And it's also hard for me because I don't spend time with him, that like, he doesn't make it up in my mind. This character and this guy that you've portrayed to me that I've seen, I don't get to
What's up, everyone? It's Noah Daniels.
Hey, y'all, I'm JJ.
Hey, guys, it's Kat.
And we're your hosts of the Real Hauntings podcast, where we bring on guests who share their first-hand encounter ghost stories and supernatural experiences. Now on to the trailer.
I've been warned to not tell this story, but I think because of the way it ends, it's okay to tell this story, because some people say that with certain entities, to like speak of them or talk about them or in any way like portray them as powerful will attract them to other people. The creepiest thing about it to me is a lot of times it would wait for me to notice it. Like it would just lay its arm out like this, and then I'd be like, where is it? Where is it? And then I'd see it, and then it would just slither back.
For more information on the Real Hauntings, Real Ghost Stories podcast, make sure you check out real.fm to learn more about our podcast and many other amazing podcasts.
Hear the good stuff. I only see the bad stuff. And at this point, like, I want to be able to support you and what you want. And like, if you want to break up, I'm here to like help you figure out what you want to do. If you want to stay together, cool. But like, it's really hard for me when you include me on all of this stuff and then I worry about you and I don't want to worry about you. And that doesn't mean that I don't want you to feel like if something really bad happens, you can't come to me. But like, I need you to know that the person that you've described to me and how he's treated you, like, I really hate seeing when you're really upset about these things. And I obviously want to see you be happy and enjoy all of that stuff. And like when things are going good, but it's really hard being an outsider. And I know it must be hard when you're like living those moments, but you have the forgiveness and of those, like, I don't have that. And I think for me and like my sanity, because I don't want to come across as like really negative to you when you guys have moved past these things. Like, I think like if you can kind of keep me out of the loop of that stuff for a bit, like that would be really great.
Yeah.
He might fucking suck. And like, they might be so fucking bad for each other. You have no say in what happens. Like, you tell her that he sucks. That doesn't mean they're going to break up. And also doesn't mean they're not going to get back together if they do break up. Like, you have to be really cautious with that. And what you say, your word isn't law. And you can suggest things and say things, but like people can pick up on implications. They know, like, you just say one time and just be like, I don't want to really be involved in those conversations. But like, you can always come to me, like, and like, I don't know how long this is like going to last for me, but like, I just, I need to protect my mental peace, like, because I worry. And that's what happens. And it's so fucking common. Like, a lot of times people only share the bad things about their relationships. And then it's like,
that's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
Most people, she's coming to you to complain. Like, she's not coming to you to, it's like when like a restaurant on Yelp, like people are going to most likely write in with bad reviews, but they're not going to say, a lot of people aren't going to come in with the good stuff. It's more bad than good because she's coming to complain. She's not coming to be like, oh, look what he did for me, blah, blah, blah. Like,
I'd be like,
who wants to hear that?
Not me.
She's venting the bad things to you. So yeah, he might suck. She might also suck.
Yeah.
And this is what they want for right now. As long as like she's not like mentally and physically he's not harming her mentally or physically, and she's into him, then that's just her choice to make. There are a lot of people that are in bad relationships, but some people just like to be miserable together.
Yeah. And it's just about your boundaries. Like, you just have to set those boundaries. Like, I've had friends who like, I love their partners, but like if they're like constant complaining, it's like, dude, I love you, but like, how much like I love them too. Or like, can we talk about something else? Like, can we like, there's just a way to do it, because some people, we all get really caught up in our own lives. And sometimes we can read a situation wrong and think like, this is definitely like, oh, this is it. This is like the end. It's definitely going to happen. Even if she's saying that. But like, if you are finding yourself getting so invested that you feel like you need to tell her, and again, it's not abusive. Like, if she's not in physical danger and you feel like you need to tell her, like, you have to break up with him, and this is weighing on you, that like, if they then didn't break up, it would affect you. Like, you're into, she's brought you in too much. Like, you need to take a step back, because like Melissa said, some people are just like shitty in relationships, and some people also like have great relationships and love to complain and like love to just only talk about the bad things. And that doesn't mean that everything is bad, but also it could mean that everything is bad, but like, you actually have zero control over anything at all. And when you have so much information and so little control. That's maddening. Like, I'm just like, at this point, I can't do shit. So don't tell me.
Right.
Like, don't tell me. Like, she's putting a lot on your plate and then being like, don't touch it. Don't do anything with it. And you can't. And that's a fucking sucky position to be in. And I think it's on her. Like, I don't think she should be sharing all of this stuff with you. I think she's oversharing, even to the extent that how we vent in relationships. And I would also evaluate for you, what does she do for you as like a friend? Because like right now, it kind of just sounds like you're a sounding board for this. Like, are you worried about her, or like, does she care about you? Like, do you care about her if you took out this relationship stuff, like, would you be close?
Mm-hmm.
So I would just take a step back.
Yeah. All right. Time for Don't Blame Them.
Wow. So Don't Blame Them is where one of you, our listeners, call in and share your own advice pertaining to a call we had on a previous episode. So if it's about like a professional job, maybe you're in that field, or maybe you just have personal experience, or you have some insight that we didn't have and you love the sound of your own voice.
Here we go.
Woo!
Hi, Meghan and Melisa. I'm calling for a Don't Blame Them for the episode titled Dodging Your One Night Stand, for the caller wanting to confront her boyfriend's sister. First off, I am in my car, but I'm parked in the parking lot.
Thank you.
So I'm not driving. So I've been dating my boyfriend for 2 years. I am 28 and he is 27, and he has 3 older sisters. I'm an only child, so coming into a family that has siblings, I was very thrown off by certain sibling dynamics. And I felt at times that I wanted to step in to defend my boyfriend from his sisters if I felt like they were being rude or trying to be mean to him. But being around the family longer, it became more obvious that even if in the moment my boyfriend was upset by something that was said to him, at the end of the day, they are still his sisters. And even if I don't agree with how parts of their relationship function, it's not my place to dictate how he addresses that. So for the caller, I think it's important to remember that when it comes to close family relationships, it's up to each person to set their own boundaries. So you can set your own boundaries for your relationships with his sisters. You said you get along well, and I'm in the same boat. I get along well with my boyfriend's sisters, but I'm going to set my boundaries with how they treat me, but I can't set his boundaries for how they treat him. He's an adult, and just like your boyfriend's an adult, they need to set their own boundaries for their own family relationship. So thanks so much. I'm a huge fan of the podcast, and I listen to them every week. Thanks. Bye.
Great call.
Solid advice.
Plus, who really wants to get rid of that? The best part of like family dynamics, which is when the person leaves the room or you go off with the other person and you just get to like get in the car, the door is shut, and you go, what a fucking bit. And you go, it's so good. Nothing hits like it.
Side conversations.
Oh, you've got like, there's a 5 and then the 3 and then the,
It's like, or even like, Mom keeps calling me. What's she calling me about? Do you know?
It's good.
Who's on the good side this week?
Yeah, like some of that stuff, as an only child, I just have to say that like, embrace that side. Like embrace that side of it. Like, first of all, it happens in friendships. Like you're used to that dynamic. You've had the extended family, that whole dynamic. But like, there's something like really cathartic about, knowing what your partner wants in the moment and then getting in the car and then being able to like unleash and you're like, oh yeah, I fucking hate him. Yeah. And like doing all of that because like you get to be the hype person when it counts. And like you're like giving your partner everything they need while being able to like still vocalize your feelings. But I don't think unless you have that part of it, you can't let it bottle up. Right. And I didn't think about that the first time we gave the advice that it's like, you need to make sure you're having that second, you need to be having those releases when it's one-on-one. But as an only child, maybe you didn't have like really chaotic, extended family that that it's like, we're talking a big game, but like nothing's going to happen.
Yeah.
But like we do that to give that like cathartic release. So you're not building up to everything. Like that's the beat drop. Like you can't like walk into Thanksgiving like the beat's about to fucking drop. Right. It's like, no, it's not. Pass the cranberries. Like settle down. So it's good advice. Yeah. Good advice. That is it.
That's it.
Are you looking for a review?
We have one.
Oh my gosh. Well, I hope this inspires you, listeners, to give us a review. Aren't you like, wow, look at them. They read the reviews. They appreciate them. We see them. We do. We love them. Leave a review.
Well, here's a review from August Listens. You'll learn more than you expect. 5 stars.
Backhanded. Thought these bitches were dumb. Little less dumb than I thought.
Or I thought I was just coming to be entertained, but I'm also learning.
Okay. Only one of them went to college.
Both of them went to college.
Only
one of them
graduated college. It was me.
I've been a listener for years, constantly finding myself learning so much from them. They give great advice and inform listeners on current events, educating the uninformed listeners, me, in the process. I truly feel like they care about the calls, emails they receive, as they give genuine advice that the person needs. Also, they're hot. Great review. Thank you, August Listens.
10 out of 10.
Mm-hmm. They also put the little emoji that has like the smiles with 3 hearts around it.
Wow. Thank you. We so appreciate it. We are hot and we do care.
We're hot and we're caring.
We're
hot,
cunty.
Caring, kind, and cunt.
Yeah.
It all goes together.
I was going to say, I was like, okay, at least that's 4 Ks. Because I was going to say cunt, you switch Kardashian K, but Wait, kind?
Kind is a K.
No, I know. What were the other ones you said? That's
hot.
Oh, I don't know.
So, I mean, 2 C's, a K, and an H.
My bad.
All good. There was a lot of alliteration in there.
It was at the end. Mm-hmm. And then I was like, I just ignored the beginning and I was like, look what's in front of us right now. So thank you. We appreciate it so much. And if you want to call for an upcoming episode, please do. 310-694-0976. Audio listeners, international listeners, you're all listening audio. Send your voice memo to meghanpodcast@gmail.com. Tomorrow we have our See You Next Tuesday episode. It's a great one.
Yeah, it's really fun. You're not hearing half of it, but it's really fun.
It's really fun. And then we have But Am I Wrong this week, which hands down is the best episode we've ever done of any podcast ever.
It's our special holiday episode.
Yeah, you said last week that you were like, I need us to come up with some, I want holiday episodes back. And I was like, okay. And Melissa,
I delivered.
She fucking delivered.
Like, it just kind of happened.
No, and you said it in passing. Like, I had no idea you were preparing, but like you served, you cooked, you served, and then you delivered.
I ate that. I left no crumbs.
She digested it. She shit it out. She put it in a blender, mixed it up. I love that one. I can't stress how good it is. We're on fire.
We are.
We're so funny and humble and hot. So
humble and hot.
Check out the Patreon too, and we will see you next time. Don't Blame Me is a production by me. Executive produced by Melissa DeMonts and Diamond Imprint Productions. Edited by Coco Lawrence. Post-production sound by Chris Henry. Production assistance by Melanie D. Watson. Music by Ryan Hunter and Giacomo Picasso.
Merry Christmas, everybody. My name is Eric Peterson. I'm here with my good buddy,
Danny Jordan.
And we are the co-hosts of the Let me try that again. Merry Christmas, everybody. My name is Eric Peterson. I'm here with my good buddy,
Danny Jordan.
And we are the hosts of Christmas Countdown Show.
We're so thrilled to be bringing the merriment to you all this holiday season.
It's going to be awesome.
It's going to be massively merry, gigantically jolly, fantastically festive, as some people might say, Eric. We are all about alliterations, and we are all about Christmas spirit. On Christmas Countdown, we love to count down our top 10 favorite things related to the holiday season. That could be food, movies, music, everything that we all love about this massively merry good time. So wherever you get your podcasts, make sure you click that subscribe button. Eric, are you ready?
I am ready, and we hope that you are too. Merry Christmas, everybody. Let's go. It should be like, let's go, ho, ho, ho.
Yeah, it should be. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Jennifer, a founder of the Go Kid Go Network. At Go Kid Go, putting kids first is at the heart of every show that we produce. That's why we're so excited to introduce a brand new show to our network called The Search for the Silver Lining, a fantasy adventure series about a spirited young girl named Isla who time travels to the mythical land of Camelot. Look for The Search for the Silver Lining on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you get your podcasts.